What's up, everybody? My name is August Rigo. Allow me to introduce myself.
Who's up and coming? Who's got next? This is...
Allow me to introduce myself.
How I would describe my sound is a blend of R&B and pop. I grew up with those two schools of music. I guess early on it was completely R&B. That's what my parents listened to. Actually, my parents listened to reggae and R&B and a lot of like 80s rock, so love songs and that of that sort. And then along the time when like Backstreet Boys and NSYNC came around, you know, the girls like, they love that stuff, so I got into it as well. And I guess as I started creating music, those two worlds kind of collided, and I think it attributed to, you know, the sound of my music now. I learned how to sing at family parties and like Filipino events through karaoke. You know, that's actually another big influence on a lot of the music I make. Man, what really influenced the sound was the vocalists. I think over everything, the vocalists really influence the sound. So the actual singing of the songs, like Michael Jackson, Prince, Journey, like a lot of high voice people too. But yeah, that's what really got me. That attention to the vocal and the melody really got me into the music. So that really got me just inspired to make the music. So started making music it wasn't even about like being a star or anything. I just really loved singing and emulating those voices, and that's how it came to be. So initially my music making process is lyrics first. So I'm looking for something to inspire and cradle my melody. So I'll defer to something like poetry or watch like a really sappy movie. I like writing love songs, so I'll watch a movie or get inspired by reading a book or seeing a quote. And then once I have that kind of lyric in mind, then I'll sit at the piano and either play piano or guitar and come with some chords. And then that's how I usually build my songs. And then as time went on, you know, I start meeting other producers, and sometimes it's just a beat, you know. So they'll send me a beat, and if I feel inspired and I like what's happening in the beat, you know, usually that leads me to write the song. The pros and cons of making music back then versus how it's created now. So I think there is a energy that's unseen, that gets kind of thrown into the piece per se, like into the music. So when you're in the room with the producer and that synergy is there, that synergy gets attached to that song, I think. And then you get the two energies that create this one thing, which creates depth, which creates levels to the songs. And not to say that it can't be done by one person, but I think that energy creates something different. You know, you get, again, a melting pot of, you know, ideas and sonics and lyrics and melodies, because you're bouncing ideas off of each other. Now, you know, when you send a beat over to somebody and then, you know, that person writes the song by themselves in their bedroom studio or in whatever studio they can, you know, there is a tendency for it to become sterile. Also, you know, sometimes the music can become samey, if that's a word, because you're just sitting in a room by yourself, and you know, sometimes those ideas are hard to come by. Admittedly, I like being in a room by myself, writing songs. That's my preferred method. I'm the worst collaborator when it comes to that type of thing. I think it's a little bit of an insecurity thing, you know, kind of spitting out the wrong ideas, and I'm always trying to get it right on the first take. But there's pros and cons to both sides of things, you know. Now with technology, you know, we can make music anywhere. The minus side of that is the quality. I think there's also a quality degradation that happens with that, because, you know, back back 20 years ago, you couldn't just walk into a hotel and record your music. It took thousands of dollars to even get a setup to be able to record something of radio or CD quality. And now you can do it on your iPhone. So there's pros and cons to both sides, and I think that if we just maintain the idea that it's a song first versus anything else, I think we'll be all right. Chris Brown, Back to Sleep. So that's one of these records that I did by myself in my basement. There's a little bit of a backstory here. So I had moved to LA in 2011-ish. I'm unclear on the timeline, but that song I wrote in 2012. I had that song for 2 years, right? And I wrote that song at a time where I went broke. I was zeroed out, zero in my account, had to pack up. I was living in this. I did the dumb stuff, I made some money in my first records, moved to LA, rented the big house with a full recording studio in the basement. Smoked a lot of weed, drank a lot of liquor. And yeah, just got lost in the sauce out there in LA, trying to make records that were outside of my wheelhouse, but also just, I got into that kind of world where I'm trying to make hits, and that's always not the way to go. But yeah, so I went broke and I moved back home. That was the first record I wrote. And it was I think the energy of one, Boy Wonder sent me the beat, and it just, it automatic, as soon as I heard that, I immediately was like, that's the one I'm gonna use. And when I wrote that song, I was just back in my comfort zone. I was in my parents' basement with my old computer and my old setup with no windows, and I locked in. Literally, that song took an hour to write, and I knew it was good. And I sent it to everybody. I sent it to everybody that I knew at the time. And radio silence. Nobody hit me back. Nobody. Not even oh, this is dope. Actually, my cousin hit me back and said, yo, this is dope, bro. I was like, thanks. So 2 years goes by. 2 years with this song in my iPod. And iPod. 2 years, and my girlfriend, my now wife, was in the car, and the song just kind of played on shuffle. She was like, ooh, I forgot about this song. This song is tight. And I was like, yeah. She was like, you should send this to Chris. And I said, I did. I sent it 2 years ago. And she said, just send it again. And I was like, she was like, send it to Mark. Mark Pitts, I guess he's the president of RCA now, was, I guess, still managing him, or A&R, I don't know what he was doing, but he's always heavily involved with Chris Brown's situation. And so I sent it directly to Mark, and I guess luck of the draw, he was in his car on the way to studio, and he played it in his car, and the rest is history. He hit me back, he said, crazy, Chris gonna cut this tonight. And then like 2 weeks later it was cut, and then I guess whenever the album came out, it was the first single, and yeah, that's how it came to be.
You walk away, I know I'll fade, 'cause there is nobody else. It's gotta be you.
One Direction, Gotta Be You. When I wrote that song, One Direction didn't really even exist. They did in concept, because they were on the show still. So they were still on X Factor, I believe. I was in London at the time. That song was not for One Direction. I can't remember who it was for, but I remember the conversation in the studio was, oh, this is a great song. This is a hit song. If it doesn't go to this artist, we'll just give it to the boys, those One Direction boys. And I was like, who's One Direction? And I was like, oh yeah, those kids from the show. And so, yeah, literally I wrote the song and I left the studio. And I guess a month later, they told me that One Direction was gonna cut the record. They cut the record, and again, the rest was history. That was a That was a great one. That's one of my favorite non-R&B songs that I've ever done. It just has all the pieces that I like to listen to. Like, it had a soaring vocal, had a great concept, and I love boy bands. You know, if I could do more boy bands, I would. Like, if I could write more songs for boy bands, I would, because I feel like I grew up on that format. You know, Boys to Men, Jodeci, NSYNC, New Edition. You know, that's what gets me going.
You smile, I smile. You smile, I smile.
Life-changing song. Justin Bieber, You Smile. Life-changing song. I don't even have a deal yet at this point, at this stage in the game when I'm writing this song. I went to studio to meet this guy, Jerry Wonder, who's Wyclef's guy, but he's probably, like, not a lot of people know Jerry Wonder, but everybody knows his music, you know. He's the guy playing bass on Killing Me Softly, the Lauryn Hill version. He did all the Fugees records, did the Lauryn Hill album. He's incredible, Jerry Wonder. Look him up, Jerry Duplessis. So I get booked for this session, and he goes, okay, so let me play you some beats. So he played me 2 beats. I picked these 2 beats, and he has this place called, at the time in New York, right in Times Square, it's called Platinum Sound. He has like 3 floors of studios. He's like, you mind going to the penthouse or whatever it's called? And he was like, it's really loud in there. You can be by yourself and write songs. I was like, cool. So I wrote this one song, not You Smile. It actually is unreleased right now. But I wrote the song, and everybody in the room loved this song. And he noticed I kept going up and down the stairs, and he was like, why do you keep going up and down the stairs? And I was like, oh, because I smoke. And he goes, well, you got upgraded. If you know Jerry, he talks real crazy. He's like, you got upgraded, man. You come into the main room. So he puts me in the main room, and so I put my jacket on. I was like, yo, I'll be right back. I'm just gonna have a cigarette. I don't smoke anymore, but my motion back then was write a verse, go have a cigarette. Write a hook, go have a cigarette. Write the song, go have a cigarette. That was how I did it. He was like, nah. He pulls an ashtray into the booth, and he goes, whatever you need, you stay right here, and whatever you need to stay focused. So I used to walk around with a studio in my backpack, and I'd put the laptop on a little platform, and I'd record myself. And so he goes, yo, come into the room. We just made something crazy that you could write to. So he plays the beat for You Smile, and I was like, this feels like some Beatles stuff. And he goes, yeah, that's it. And I was like, something simple like you smile, I smile. And when I say everybody in the room was like, has that been done? Has that been done? There was an A&R there from Warner. And funny, Warner had booked these sessions for me because they wanted me to write for Musiq Soulchild. So You Smile, so wait, I'll get to it. So all these songs I'm writing are for Musiq Soulchild. So I get into the booth, they give me the beat on this USB stick, I get into the booth, and when I say like verbal diarrhea, musical diarrhea, I put a cigarette in my mouth, I lit it, I pressed record, I sang through the cigarette into the microphone because I thought I was a bad man. I was just like this. I sang like, rough words, melody take, but I sang all the way through. I never do that. And when it hit the chorus, you smile, I smile. And as soon I was like, I know this is going, like, there are some songs that you just hear and you're like, and to be at the birth of that is super exciting because I knew it was there. So I wrote the song, came out, and played the record for everybody, and everybody was like, oh, this is nuts. I could see like A&Rs were like, I mean, anyways, I ended up writing, executive producing this same Musiq Soulchild album like a couple of months later. But so the reason why this was life-changing, because this Bieber record led me to write 2 more songs on this album, Stuck in a Moment and Kiss and Tell. It also led me to my first meeting with L.A. Reid. L.A. Reid heard my demos of these records, and he was like, judging by the way you look and the way you sound, you have an album. Anybody else ask you about this? And I was like, nah, because nobody asks an Asian guy about his album. They just want the record. But LA had the, I guess the foresight or the ear. He was like, let me be the first. So I literally, that first meeting with LA, I also showcased for him. He signed me to a record deal at Def Jam, gave me a label deal at Def Jam. This also led to my, obviously my publishing deal happened in and around the same time. Yeah, so like literally, I was broke again, but like I was rigid, like OG broke. Like I was grinding, I was bouncing balances off my credit cards so I could be in LA, because there was a lot of like, yo, you gotta stay at this hotel, you gotta have this type of car, you can't be moving around in a Corolla. Yeah, it was nuts. But when I put my like first whatever checks in my my account, I had $100, because I only had $100 to open up the account. I had like you had to open up a business account or something like that, you needed a minimum of $100, and that's all I had. And then I woke up one morning and I was like, whoa, let's go to Scarborough Town Center, let's get it. So BTS, there was two. There's Black Swan and On. So I started going to Korea around 2013 and totally bombed my first few sessions, because I went out there kind of on some like, yo, I write records in North America, I'm crazy, I'm dopest, and I wrote the most horrible songs out there. Not horrible, but just nothing that they wanted. But they liked my vibe, I guess. So they kept inviting me out to Korea to write these songs. And then I heard about this group BTS that was, coming up, and apparently they were doing crazy numbers. And somebody was like, you should be writing some songs for BTS. So I was like, okay. Out of coincidence, one of my artists is a amazing choreographer. His name is Brian Puspos. He was doing all the stadium choreography for BTS at the time. So through that connection, we managed to get in touch with an A&R, and I sent them, I might have sent them 100 songs over the course of a year, because I was like, I want to write songs for BTS. Please let me write a song for BTS. So I sent them tons and tons of songs, and finally, I guess at the end of their album, like when they were finishing recording their album, they were like, we got these 2 songs, really want August's vibe on it. I was not in the studio at the time, I was not working. My wife we just had our first kid, so we were in New York, but I had to write these songs. So literally they sent me the beats, they sent me kind of like their brief on what they were looking for, and I had the mic wrapped around my neck, and I was putting my baby to bed, and I wrote both songs like that. I wrote Black Swan and On like that, and there's many iterations of both those songs. There's a couple of other great writers as well on it, and then yeah, after maybe 6 or 7 revisions and 8 different songwriters, they asked me to re-sing everything so that the songs could have like my vibe and my energy on it. And I didn't even know that we had landed the songs. I had signed the split sheets and everything, and I woke up one morning and somebody texted me, congratulations, and I was like, oh yeah, baby's doing well. And they were like, nah man, you got the first BTS single. And I was like, what are you talking about? I look and I was like, oh, crazy, that's a recoup. That's all I was thinking. But yeah, and then the same thing happened with the second single, because I don't know, I guess they're mad secretive over there. I didn't know that On was gonna be the next single, and it was. So we ended up landing both singles on that Map of the Soul 7 album. And that was like I guess another life-changing moment in my life, because the bulk of what I do now is in Korea. I do a lot of K-pop records now, and I'm really thankful to like that whole situation, because yeah, it was just a great process. I love what they do over there, and yeah, man, BTS is another life-changing moment for me.
something good happens this way.
50-50, give you what you give me. As long as you stay with me, keep it strictly. You and me will be sitting pretty, pretty.
Okay, so the allure of being an artist. There's a lot of artists that I've written songs for that, or want to write songs for that I haven't yet, or that I have in the pocket. Like, off the top of my head, like, I have like a couple of songs that I've written specifically with Drake in mind. Actually, from like 2009 when I first, or 2010 when I first met Boy Wonder. The first song I wrote with Wonder, I wanted for Drake. It's called New Money, because I was so into that So Far Gone album that I was thinking like, damn, imagine how it feels to be Drake right now. And there's a leak of it online if you want to check it out. It's called New Money. It's the first song I wrote with Boy Wonder. Well, I also did Back to Sleep with, if I didn't mention it before. And yeah, it was like I put myself in Drake's shoes, and I was like, I wonder how it feels to be Drake. And it's called New Money. There's a Rihanna. I'm really working on trying to get on this next Rihanna album if she ever drops again, because I love her stuff. So I do have like a couple of songs that I've pitched out to Rihanna. I really want to do a Justin Timberlake song. There's acts where, you know, that are kind of just that I've always wanted to write songs for that I never got the chance to, or the stars didn't align. But those are and Beyonce. God help me with Beyonce, please. Because nobody sings a song like Beyonce. You know, I have songs that, oh man, if Beyonce sang this, it'd be crazy. But yeah, those are like the big four, the big three that I really want. And then, you know, my kind of next thing is like, you know, developing artists and, you know, working hand in hand with them to create their sonic and, you know, tell their story. So aside from those guys, you know, any banging new artists, let me know.
We don't know better. Let's act like we don't know better. Let's act like we don't know better. Could we just be here?
Something surprising about me that people may not know is that I sew. I sew and I make clothes. I sew at home, like I'll make alterations to my clothes, like, you know, make my pants tighter or bigger, or make pants, or make a jacket. Actually, I made this jacket, but I didn't make this at home. I have a side business. Me and my partner, we own like a clothing factory in LA, which we do like merch for like influencers, and we handle a lot of different brands there. So we do screen printing and a bunch of stuff like that. So I'm really into fashion, so that might be the next point in the venture, doing clothing. I mean, I'm pretty good with like my hands. Like, you know, I build things out of, you know, build stuff in the studio, furniture, speaker stands. I'm really handy because my dad was really handy. So it was like, if you're asking me who my hero is, it would be my dad. So like, watching him be able to like fix a car, build a shelf, make a bed, whatever it was, I'd like to think I'm pretty handy when it comes to doing that. And I'm incredible at wiring up studios. Like, yo, I can wire up a studio in like 2 hours. Like 1,000 wires, I can do it. That's just my thing. It's like signal flow and all that stuff. Like, I can have that. Like, I can look at the studio and see what you want, and be like, I got you. Give me a second.
Met her out in Vegas. She gave me a taste. She already wasted. Couldn't feel my face. She said it's the way.
So what is next for me is I'm the composer for a new television show that's going to be airing on CBC, BBC. It's actually it's a K-pop show. So I did all the original music for that. So that should be airing, I don't know, maybe March 2024. I think that's the slated date for that. Excited to be working on. My wife, Jeanette Claudette, is an amazing singer-songwriter. She's been in mom mode lately, but we're getting back. The kids are almost there that we can kind of have them in school. And so I'm gonna be working on her album. I've got a couple of side projects of my own, not necessarily August Rigo projects, but like I have a band. So I'm excited to kind of do things for myself, and there's a couple of new releases that are coming out like on the Korean side, so just look out for those. But I'm always in the studio, I'm always working, I'm just I'm kind of addicted to that side of my life. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing right now.
How could I refuse?
What's up? My name is August Rigo. I've got this new song with my homie DJ Agile called Two Seater. This is a good one, man. Like, we did this kind of in the pandemic. Initially, we were shopping this song to a couple of artists, and Agile hit me maybe a few months ago. I was like, yo, I don't think we should waste this record. You know, I'm playing it for a lot of people, and they're really, really liking the song. So we decided that, he was like, yo, we should put this out with you on it. And a lot of the times, people don't, I know I'm an artist, but you know, when I'm writing records for producers, they normally don't think of me first. But the fact that Agile was like, yo, we should stay on a record and we should put this out, you know, it's really hard. So thank you, DJ Agile, appreciate you. And yeah, this record just goes, man. It's something for the club, something for radio. And it's got that kind of, it's got everything I described what my sound is, it's kind of in there, you know? It's like, it has like an R&B pop feel, but it has an island backbeat. You know, I'm really into Afrobeat right now, so that's kind of in there. So yeah, I love it. I hope you guys love it. What's up? My name is August Rigo, and I just introduced myself.